All right, that's unreal. I mean, come on, I suck at dinking and that works. We gotta give one of these away.
That ball landed in the corner too.
Yeah.
What's up everybody, John Riley here with Pickleball Mafia, and today we're bringing you a sneak peek into the all-new Diadem Warrior. And our boy, Illa Van England, pro pickleball player, is going to compare the all-new Warrior with their previous model, the Icon, and talk about the features that are exclusive to the Diadem Warrior. Now, when we were filming this yesterday, Shay Underwood and I found that a lot of the features were very similar to the paddles we use, which is the Engage Pursuit, and what he uses, the Selkirk Invicta. So we wanted to make a comparison of those two for you guys out there that use those paddles and see, is it worth looking at the new Warrior? So before we do that comparison, let's jump into the sneak peek, and here you go.
As many as you know, I'm sponsored by Diadem. And I've been working with them for the past 4 months, giving them my feedback on the Icon. They've taken my feedback, and man, did the engineers listen when they created the all-new Warrior. I want to give you 3 of the items that I noticed that are the biggest difference between the Icon and the Warrior. The first difference you can notice between the two paddles is the thickness of the paddle. The Warrior is a lot thicker, which allows it to have a bigger sweet spot, which is very useful during the hand-to-hand battles. What I love about the new Warrior is the amount of power it creates. Since it's thicker and has that bigger sweet spot, it's a lot easier to come up with a lot of power. The final thing that is a massive difference and what I love is the grit. The grit on the Warrior is a lot rougher, which creates a lot more spin and can make me really go for my shots a lot more. The more spin on my drives allows me to hit the drives a lot harder, and the spin on my dinks allows me to put a lot more pressure on my opponent.
Illa's actually headed to Hilton Head right now to play in the PPA Pro Tournament where he'll be debuting the Diadem Warrior. Let's wish him the best of luck, and if you want, you can go over to his Instagram account and follow his journey this weekend, and hopefully he brings home gold. Now let's jump into the comparison that Shay Underwood and I did where we compare the Warrior with the paddles that we like to use. One thing is Shay is a very traditional doubles pickleball player, where I am more of a singles player and play with a more unorthodox tennis background and bring that style into my pickleball play. So let's see how these paddles compare.
We're going to be looking at 6 major aspects of these paddles: structure, serve, drive, drop, dink, and the speed ups.
When it comes to structure, you can see that they're all about the same thickness, with the Warrior just being a smidge thicker at 19 millimeters.
They also have about the same size paddle face, with the Invicta being just a smidge longer.
When it comes to the surface, they all have their own unique grit. The omnidirectional friction-based graphite, the bidirectional cross-weave carbon fiber, and the grit paint. To the touch, the Warrior feels like it has the best grip, but we'll see how that plays later on. Wow. You hear that?
I do. The handle on the Engage is about a ½ inch longer than the others, and they each have a 4 1/4 inch circumference.
But when it comes to the butt cap, the Warrior and the Selkirk have the same butt cap, where the Engage just has this rubber piece placed on it. When it comes to the actual grip structure, the Warrior has a full, well-rounded handle grip, where the Selkirk has just a molding on top and bottom, and you can feel straight through to the honeycomb on the sides, and that's the same with Engage.
The core on all of them are a thick polymer composite, and they each boast about their own unique material blend.
On my serve, I do mostly top spins. Now I vary on my depth and my left to right. My main goal is to hit it right on the sweet spot every single time, so I get a lot of top spin so that ball will hit and kick either low or it'll kick and it'll go high. I'm used to the feel of this. This does have a unique feel, but when you hit both on the sweet spot, very similar in the way they play. The performance on both is very similar. When we bust out the radar gun, I was hitting about the same speeds on both.
I do mostly spin serves where I'm putting a lot of spin on the ball before I ever hit it. Because of that, I need a large sweet spot that's very forgiving because sometimes my toss puts me in positions that are not ideal. With the quad carbon face of the Invicta, I never feel like I'm hitting a dead spot, and some of my mishits actually end up being my best serves. With the Warrior, I noticed that a lot of these serves that were around the edge guard ended up just being dead mishits that did not really go over the net at all.
So when it comes to my serve, I could go with either one. They both have a great feel, great sweet spot, and great end result. Since I'm used to the Engage, I don't know if it's worth it to switch over to the Diadem, but we'll see later down the road.
Yeah, I think for my serve specifically, given the fact that I put so much spin on the ball, I definitely prefer the Invicta, as the mishits are a lot more forgiving.
Just don't hit mishits.
Yeah, well.
All right, so I love the drive. It's a huge part of my singles game. You know, I use it for my return, and I also use it for my third shot a lot. Now, people think that the grit is what contributes to the top spin and keeps your drives in, where I find it's more the core. So the core actually gives on such a powerful shot as a drive, allowing the ball to sit on the face a lot longer so you can get that top spin, and the grit is just icing on the cake. Now, when I was using these two in the drive, I found that they both had amazing pop and power. I'm not as used to the Diadem, and I was actually hitting a lot more long than I was with the Engage, but I believe that was due to the handle length. So the handle length on the Engage is just a little bit longer, which allows me to get more whip when I swing at the ball, which I believe gives me that little extra that'll keep it in, where when I had a shorter handle, I was pushing it a little bit longer. But both had amazing pop on the drive.
I personally prefer touch and consistency in my drives rather than just hitting the ball super hard. So I value...
Why are you looking at me for that?
So with the Selkirk, I noticed that when I was hitting it, it wasn't going quite as hard, but it was much more consistent in my placement. I did feel like I could get more top spin with the Warrior, and actually when we took the radar gun out, I was hitting the Warrior shots about 5 to 6 miles per hour faster. But overall, I still like the consistency of the Selkirk Invicta. I do feel like though if I were to use the Warrior more, that I would like it better on the drive in the long run.
At the end of the day, I think I'm gonna stay with the Engage on this one, just because that ½ inch length on the handle finishes out my drive that brings the ball back into play, where I was hitting it a little long with this, but wow, did they do a good job with the pop.
Yeah, I will say that I do like the longer handles because I personally have a two-handed backhand, so that extra length to get my other hand on there is really helpful. But honestly, on the drives, I prefer the Warrior over the Selkirk. I don't think I'll make the switch to it just yet, but I do think long term I could be much better with this on my drives.
Now let's talk about the drop. Now I use the Engage and I rely mostly on my feel to know that I'm getting a good shot at impact, right? And that's gonna allow me to react and run up faster knowing that I hit that shot, or stay back to go for another drop. And I thought that that was how I did my drops, until today when we used the Warrior. We were amazed at the touch that this had on the drop shot. Well, you were hitting with me. Like, yeah. Once I grabbed this, I was hitting drop after drop after drop after drop. I didn't even need to worry about running up because I knew it was going in. It was quite amazing, and I would say I was shocked.
Yeah, I would say it's pretty impressive. The second that John picked up that paddle, like his drops just became unattackable. They were so much better, and you could tell that he was really gripping the ball with his paddle. For me personally, the drop is my go-to third and fifth shot. I use it pretty much every single time I'm returning a ball for that third and fifth shot. And I thought I was getting a lot of spin with my Selkirk Invicta, but out here today, my resets, my rolls, everything felt so much grippier and better with this Warrior. That's another way to put it.
Yikes, did not expect that.
Yeah, that was unexpected for sure, but I'm glad we found it.
That was fun. We just did a little bit of dinking with the two paddles. Dinking is definitely where I struggle the most in my gameplay. That's probably why I stick mostly to singles when I use this paddle. Now, I did actually see an improvement using the Warrior. It was micro improvement, but I found that the grit actually gave me almost a safer shot. I felt more confident in getting that spin as I came through. So a low speed shot, the grit really played a big difference in the two paddles. The feel, everything else I would say was about the same, but I can notice that the grit contributed to more spin and a safer shot for me.
Yeah, I would say that when John's dinking, he really likes to put a lot of spin on the ball, and you could tell the grit on this Warrior was definitely sticking to the ball a little bit more than the Engage was. And whenever I'm dinking, I feel like I'm using more of my paddle face and the length of it to get the spin. And I didn't really notice much of a difference between my Selkirk and the Diadem Warrior here. One thing I did notice though is the balls I took out of the air, I was able to get more spin on it using this Warrior, but it also came with a little bit more pop to it, so I was hitting those a little bit too high. Probably could have attacked me on a couple of those. But overall for my dinks, not much of a difference. I would be pretty comfortable and pretty safe and reliable using either one of these two paddles.
For me, I'd go with the Warrior. If I was purely doing a dinking contest, the Warrior wins. That little extra grit, I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
Reminded me a lot of the Electrum.
Nice. Yeah.
Is that fine to say?
Sure. Coming soon.
Coming soon. All right, so we just did our final comparison, and that is the speed ups. One thing I like about the speed ups is it's very unique, and what I mean is, when we talked about dinks, that's a soft shot and then we hit it soft, and that relies mostly on the grit. Now when we talked about drives, that's taking a hard hit ball and hitting it hard. That focuses on the core. Now a speed up takes a soft hit ball and speeds it up with a hard shot. So you're gonna have to find that perfect balance between grit and a solid soft core that has a lot of pop. What we found, or what I found when I was playing, was the grit was giving me a lot more spin on my ball, but it also had a lot of pop, so I was hitting them long and didn't have as much control. I feel if I spent more time with the Warrior, this is gonna be a strong tool in my tool chest of providing a lot of spin to hit those target points on the opponent and keeping the ball in, but today, couldn't keep that ball in. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I would say that both paddles were about the same when it came to speed ups, although I do still prefer my Selkirk. I noticed that I was getting more consistent shots that were hitting the baseline or hitting you in the armpits, versus with the Warrior, my shots were kind of sporadic and going out of bounds. On balls that I took out of the air, like rolls specifically, I was getting more spin with the Warrior, but still I feel like the Selkirk Invicta was just giving me more consistency overall today. I think long term, having that extra grit on the paddle would be nice, but another thing that we haven't considered yet is how long would that grit actually stay on the paddle?
That's very true.
You know, it could be 2 months and the grit's gone and now it's worse than these other two paddles. So I think overall, I was just getting much more power with the Warrior. It had more grit, I got more spin on my balls. I've been using the Selkirk Invicta for a long time now, and I don't think I'm going to change today. Maybe with another couple days, more work, more weeks put into using the Warrior, I might like it better. I will say I think the skill ceiling is a little bit higher with this Warrior, but for me today, I don't think that I'll be better in the next 3 months if I made the transition.
So I would say they're very evenly matched. I'm gonna stick with this, but I'm gonna practice with this. So as I work more into doubles, I'm probably going to start using this, and then this will be my singles and doubles racket, but right now, you know, singles, doubles.
I think you might be a Warrior guy at heart.
Right?
I think you might be.
All right, so I almost forgot the giveaway. So subscribe to the channel, like this video, and comment below with the paddle that you use and the paddle you would like to see it compared with, so that we can help make more of these videos to help you guys out. Now, we were having so much fun with the radar in this review that we decided to take 15 different paddles and test them with the radar gun on serves and drives and see how they compared. Now we also took the elongated versions and their counterparts to see if the elongation will actually provide more speed. Now we are going to have Mark Price, pro coach, pro pickleball player, come out and talk, does speed have a place as a weapon in the modern game of pickleball? So make sure to hit that notification bell to be alerted when we drop our next video. Till next time.